Bakken Range in North Dakota or with us right here in New Mexico, tight oil is a big source of additional supply. That's about another 2 million barrels per day. Alaska. This is ANWR and other sources in Alaska. That will add additional oil production in this country. Natural gas liquids. You know that natural gas is just booming as a source of energy. As you produce natural gas, you get some liquids. Those liquids can be refined and used to create gasoline for our automotive purposes as well. That's about another 2 million barrels per day. Then we come to biofuels. Biofuels, whether ethanol or biodiesel, will produce about 1 million barrels per day of additional capacity. Then we come to Canada. Canada has oil sands. We're going to take advantage of those and build that Keystone Pipeline and work with Canada to make sure we have advantage of their great energy sources. And the last little bar that I have there is Mexico. And Mexico, I'm not counting on any increase there. They've actually been declining slightly, but I think by virtue of a new president there and conviction on the part of both parties in the most recent elections there to encourage closer relationships with us, we're going to find ourselves being able to work with Mexico to share our technology and know-how to help them become more productive. And we're going to find ourselves being able to work with Mexico to share our technology and know-how to help them become more productive and add to the energy produced in North America. The net of all this, as you can see, is by 2020, we're able to produce somewhere between 23 to 28 million barrels per day of oil, and we won't need to buy any oil from the Middle East or Venezuela or anywhere else where we don't want to. Now, you might wonder, how in the world am I going to do all those things? Because those opportunities have existed for a long time. We just haven't taken advantage of them. And so there's some things I'm going to do differently that makes it possible for us to be able to achieve those improvements in production from all those sources I've described. Number one, on federal lands, the permitting process to actually drill and get oil or gas is extraordinarily slow. Now, interestingly, on state lands and private lands, state regulators have streamlined their permitting process, their evaluation, environmental process, safety processes. They found a way, because we compete, states do, with one another, they found a way to do a job in a more efficient way. So, for instance, in North Dakota, it takes 10 days to get a permit for a new well. In Colorado, it takes 27 days. That's to get on state land a permit or private land. But do you know how long it takes the federal government regulators to get your permit on federal land? On average, 307 days. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the states take responsibility for the permitting process on federal lands. Now, of course, the process is going to have to be reviewed and approved by the federal government. It's going to be overseen and monitored, but we're going to have state regulators not just regulate oil production and gas production on state lands and private lands, but also on federal lands, and that will improve the creation of new oil wells, new gas wells, and get more production to the people that need it. Now, I also want to note another way we're going to get more production, and that's with regards to our offshore sources. Right now, the federal government has been holding off offshore development. And what we're going to have to do is speed that up and make it possible. So I'm going to put together a 5-year leasing plan to lease offshore sources. And we're going to make, as part of that, the Carolinas and Virginia and the Gulf. We're going to have targets. We're going to have the companies that do the drilling responsible for hitting those targets. And if not, we're going to have corrective measures. But we're finally going to also make sure that we implement state-of-the-art safety procedures for offshore drilling and assure that as we put in place these regulations and procedures, they're designed for safety. They're not designed to stop drilling for energy resources. Using the law to stop production of energy is not in the best interest of the United States of America and our people. Number three, I'm going to establish an energy partnership with Canada and Mexico. We need to work together with these guys, work collaboratively, and we need to have a fast-track process to make sure that infrastructure projects are approved. And particularly, we're going to get that Keystone Pipeline built as one of those first infrastructure projects to take advantage of their resources. Number four, it's about time we got an accurate inventory about how much energy we have. The president keeps on talking about the idea that we only have 2% of the world's oil reserves. That's a dramatic understatement of the energy resources of this country. It's probably at least 7 times that amount or even more. So I'm going to authorize a new seismic study of our onshore and offshore resources to find out what we have and where we have it. I'm also going to require those that have these kind of surveys, seismic surveys, in private hands to collect them so that we can look at them, share them with one another. We're going to take advantage of an understanding of where our resources are so we can plan accordingly. I'm also going to do something which has been around for a long time, and that is I'm going to change the regulatory and permitting process to make it more transparent and make sure that as we put in place regulations, they're designed to actually help get production where it's needed and not using regulation to stop the production of energy. Sometimes I have the impression that the whole regulatory attitude of the administration is trying to stop oil and gas and coal, that they don't want those sources, that instead they want to get those things so expensive and so rare that wind and solar become highly cost-effective and efficient. Look, I like wind and solar like the next person, but I don't want the law to be used to stop the production of oil and gas and coal, and I'm going to get the law to finally be transparent with timelines, statute of limitations, and stop using these legal suits to try and stop the production of energy in this country. Number 6, I want to promote energy innovation. Now, what do I mean by that? We've watched the president follow a different path. I want to promote energy innovation. Now, what do I mean by that? We've watched the president follow a different path. He's taken federal dollars, your money, to invest in companies, solar companies, wind companies, about $90 billion in so-called green jobs. $90 billion has gone into this. Look, the government of the United States is not a very good venture capitalist. He says he's picking winners and losers. Mostly he's been picking losers, all right? I mean, Solyndra and Enterwan and Fisker and Tesla. There's a long list of these businesses he's investing in. I don't want the government investing in companies, particularly companies of his campaign contributors. I want instead to have our government investing in basic science and research, finding new sources of energy, also finding ways to be more efficient in our use of energy. I happen to believe that line, that dotted line I have there, which says that American energy usage, North American energy usage, will stay about the same. I actually believe we can bring that down. I believe that through technology and innovation, we're going to find ways to bring down our use of energy, and we may even be an exporter at some point of energy when you consider all of our resources. But this is where we should be devoting our federal dollars, not on trying to put money into businesses, which often fail, but instead putting money into technology and science and research. We do that, and you're going to see new opportunities for us to get America and North America energy independent. Now, what are the benefits of all this? If we actually get there, and I'm planning on getting there, I get elected, we're going to get there. Let me tell you what the benefits are. 3 million jobs. 3 million jobs come from doing this. 3 million jobs. That's 1 million in manufacturing. That's a lot of energy-related jobs. 3 million jobs come back to this country by taking advantage of something we have right underneath our feet. That's oil and gas and coal. We're going to make it happen. We're going to create those jobs. Let me tell you what else it does. It adds $500 billion to the size of our economy. That's more good wages. That's an opportunity for more Americans to have a bright and prosperous future. It also means, by the way, tens of billions, potentially hundreds of billions of dollars of tax revenues going into states and the federal government, which can make sure we have a military second to none and schools that lead the world and care for our seniors, better roads and bridges. Accomplishing what I've described right there also means lower energy prices for American families, and by the way, for American businesses, so that as businesses are thinking about where to build a factory, and they look at the cost of production, let's say, of a particular product, and they look at the energy cost, they see that here in North America we have ample energy, and it's low cost, and that will bring businesses back here. So you're going to see more manufacturing come back to the United States as a result of doing what is so clearly in our best interest. By the way, we all hear about something known as the trade deficit. That's how much more we buy from other people than they buy from us. Doing what I've described right there will reduce that trade deficit alone by 80%. Think of the impact of that on the strength of our dollar. And let me mention something else, and that is we have to have a national security strategy which takes into account the fact that America will be stronger if we have all the energy that we need to power our economy and power our military. This is not just a matter of economy and jobs and rising incomes and a growing economy and more tax revenues. It's also more security. It means we don't have to rely on people who in some cases don't like us very much. That America will be able to stand on its own. We'll stand arm in arm with our friends from Mexico and our friends from Canada and assure that we have all the energy we need to keep America powered and to make sure that our military never has to borrow from someone across the ocean that might not be our best friend. Now, I happen to believe if you do what I've described, and I'm planning on doing it when I get elected, if we do that, and those other four things I described, which are fixing our schools and our training programs for people who need good work, and making sure that we improve trade and make trade work for America, and also finally tackle our deficit and rein in the excessive spending, and then champion small business. You do those things, and this economy is going to come roaring back. The other day, the Vice President was talking about how things are getting so much better for the middle class. The other day, the Vice President was talking about how things are getting so much better for the middle class in America. I wish he'd go out and talk to some people and meet people across this land. It's not getting better for the 23 million people out of work or stopped looking for work. It's not getting better for those people who've seen their incomes go down and their costs go up. It's not getting better for people who are coming out of college and can't find work. But what I've described here will make things better for the middle class of America. People all over this country will be convinced again that it's great to be middle class in America. Moms and dads will know their kids coming out of school are going to be able to get a good job. This is critical for our generation, for the coming generation, and for the world. I say for the world because people around the world look to America. They need a strong America. They know that a strong America is essential to peace on the planet. That a strong America keeps the world's worst actors from doing the world's worst things. I had the privilege a few weeks ago of meeting Lech Walesa. I came into his office, and he said through an interpreter, he said, "Mitt, you're probably tired. You sit down, I'll talk, you listen." And so I did. And he began to speak for about 15 minutes, uninterrupted. And his message was pretty straightforward. He repeated it again and again. Where is American leadership? We need America's leadership. America's the only superpower on the planet. We need America to be strong. Getting a North American energy independence is key to American leadership. So is fixing our schools and balancing our budget, making trade work for us, and understanding the power of small business, individual initiative, hard work. This is what America's all about. I've been inspired as I've gone across the campaign trail over the last months, as I've seen Americans who've taken the initiative to try and build enterprises for themselves and improve the lives of their families. I'm inspired by the power of individuals, of a person in a family, for instance, changing the life of the other people in the family. My sister did that. My sister has 8 kids, Lynn does. 8 children. She's so enthusiastic and positive and energetic. She's just raised terrific kids. 7 of them are married. Her 8th is a Down syndrome boy. He's now 43. She's 75. Her husband passed away a few years ago, so Jeffrey lives at home with her. She devotes her life to caring for him and caring for her kids and caring for her grandchildren. The impact of one person, of a strong personality, of love and affection and caring, enormous in a family. Enormous also in an economy. I've gone across the country and met entrepreneurs of all kinds, and I'm impressed by their capacity to lift others through their ideas. I met a woman who had her own business. I said to her, "How did you get your company started?" She said, "Well, my husband lost his job and he took a class in upholstering." And she, because she was the better business mind in the family, decided to start a company of her own. And she hired him as her first employee. And she went on to hire 40 more people as upholsterers. And now she has a successful upholstering company. I met another woman in High Point, North Carolina, just a few days ago, Melanie McNamara. She's in the furniture business. Hard to compete with China in the furniture business and other foreign sources, but she found a way to do it, to save her business and the jobs of the people who work for her. She decided she'd focus her furniture in one small segment. She makes furniture for waiting rooms in hospitals, and she does it well. And by virtue of that insight and making a superb product and a quality product at a good price, she has been able to maintain her business and the jobs of some 27 people who work with her. I met another guy who, by virtue of his insight and imagination and hard work and smarts, was able to change the lives of a lot of other people. His name is Jim Leotode. Jim's from Southern Illinois. Graduated second in his high school class. Second from the bottom. And he decided college was not in his future. He talked to his dad about a loan. His dad agreed to loan him the money to get a business started. They'd split it about 50-50. He was going to be in the food business. Jim went out to buy a hamburger griddle and a hot dog roller. You know, they put those hot dogs on and one of those hoods that takes out the smoke. And by the time he costed it all out, he found out that it was more expensive than he had money for. But the only thing he could do for the money he'd borrowed from his dad was make sandwiches. So he set up tables, all right? But the only thing he could do for the money he'd borrowed from his dad was make sandwiches. So he set up tables, all right? Set up tables in a garage and started making sandwiches and then delivers them to people at business. Now Jim Leotode's business is known as Jimmy John's. He has 1,500 Jimmy John's restaurants. He employs 60,000 people. One person making a difference. It's an amazing thing, America. Where individual initiative, individual know-how, hard work, people pursuing their own course, their own dreams, have built America. Freedom has built America. When the founders crafted the founding documents of America, they said our rights came from God. They didn't say they came from government. They came from God. And among them were life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. That's what makes us the unique and exceptional nation we are. Individuals, moms, dads, kids in school, entrepreneurs, even political leaders who have initiative, insight, passion, are willing to take risk and make a difference. It's what makes America what we are. I think the president thinks that it's somehow government that makes us what we are. That's not the answer. The answer for America is to rely on individuals and their dreams and their passions. I'm going to keep America strong by returning America to the freedoms that we've all known, bringing to each individual the capacity to achieve, to pursue their dreams. I love America. I love the principles upon which America was founded. I know if we do the things I've described, those 5 things, America's going to come roaring back. Our families need it. Our kids need it. The world needs it. We're going to keep America, the shining city on a hill, together. We're going to get New Mexico to help me become the next president, and we're going to get America on track to keep it great for the entire century. Thank you so much. Great to be with you.